And welcome back to the Nightmare Cabin. We're back with another Let's Talk About video, and this week you can see it in the background. Can you hear it? A band very close to my heart, a band that have got a new album coming out soon, which I'm very excited about. The almighty Benediction. You can see what I'm going through the thing here, so let's go through it album by album. I tried doing another way of doing it. I was trying to play songs as I spoke. It just wasn't working. I kept stopping and starting and losing my train of thought. So I'm just going to go through everything. I did make a couple of notes here and there, so it's hard to bloody remember everything off the top of my head. I'm always thinking afterwards, I should have said this, should have said that. Forgetting names and dates, and it's all a big mess. So anyway, it's night time. I'm having a few slurps, playing some metal, and yeah, let's get down to it. So, how did I get into Benediction? A friend of mine, we were talking about different bands and whatnot, and he mentioned Benediction to me. I said something like Napalm Death are the best death metal band from the UK, something like that, or Carcass. And he's like, nah man, Benediction, have you ever heard them? No. And bear with me one sec. Sorry if I heard something outside then. So I was like, I know, wasn't that the band Barney was in before Napalm Death? Didn't he do one out? It's like, yeah, they've done loads of stuff though. Like, they're still going now, and yeah, you should check them out. Really nice guys. Yeah, you need to get on it basically. I was like, right, okay. Had a quick look on Amazon, and I got these 2 albums on a double CD thing that the thing was reissued on. So there's 6 albums on that, all 3 of them, plus Killing Music. I got it all for like 25 quid all in all. It was like £5 each worth of postage and packaging. I think it might have been 20 quid for the whole lot, and yeah, I've been obsessed with them ever since, really. So, formed in 1989. They put out a Dreams You Dread demo in 1989, and they put out a split EP with Pungent Stench in 1990, just one song, and that song reappeared as a bonus track later on. But yeah, first album, Subconscious Terror, in 1990. The album sounds just like that album cover looks. It looks like the poster of an old late 70s slasher film, and that's how this album sounds. It's got a great, it's much like it. It's like watching a low budget horror film, and it's got all the charm that comes with it. It's quite primitive sounding. The songs are quite primitive in their structure as well. The drums are quite basic, but they're all great songs. Let's quickly go for the lineup. Yep, you've got Barney Greenway on vocals, Peter Rue and Darren Brooks, twin guitar team. They're the 2 constant members. It's these guys who are at the beginning, and they're all the way through. They're the mainstays still in the band today. Paul Adams on bass and Adam Tracy on drums. You got a nice, cool spoken word kind of with Barney and the intro, but then it kicks into Subconscious Terror, which is just an awesome song. We just keep dun 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 dun, and then Barney gives his raw, and then gives it this ha 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 in the background. I love it. And Artifacted Irreligion. I'm sure I'm not pronouncing that right. Don't sound right, but yeah, Artifacted Irreligion has got this real doomy bum 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 dun 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 dun. It's fucking awesome. And there's fast tracks on here as well. There's plenty of shredding. What you get all the way through Benediction is loads of good riffs. One thing I wanted to say as well, I should have begun with this really. There's a bit of a debate amongst death metal fans. You know, you always say, you know, Megadeth or Metallica, Judas Priest or Maiden, and there's always Benediction or Bolt Thrower, and they're kind of 2 halves of the same coin in a lot of ways. I mean, no one likes Bolt Thrower and not Benediction, and no one likes Benediction and not. You're gonna like both, but personally, my heart, I go with Benediction. as much as I like Bolt Thrower, Bolt Thrower would give you knew what you wanted with Bolt Thrower, you knew what you were getting, and every album was the same, but in an AC/DC kind of way. The only thing that really main thing that differed was the production, really. Not that they didn't get better or didn't improve, but you know what I mean. The main difference, I guess, was the first album. That really sounded different from the rest of the catalogue. But yeah, love Bolt Thrower. I'll probably do a Bolt Thrower album. Let's talk about video eventually. But Benediction, every album is unique in its own way, and they change from album to album, whilst retaining that Benediction essence, I suppose. But yeah, that's why I thought this would be a bit more interesting to go for this. Plus the new album's coming out soon, which I can't wait for. So, anything else? Suspended Animation, the almighty instrumental. If you've been listening to the Maiden cast, you'll say, like, I miss instrumentals. I don't know why bands don't do them more often. Cool little jamming, shredding, cool little fucking instrumental for the band just going for it. And Experimental Stage was re-recorded with David Ingram, which brings me on to a point. I think with this album, I think it'd be good if they re-recorded it, or not the whole album, but a couple of tracks, which they kind of did with the Dark as the Season EP, I suppose. But as much as this sort of sounds of its time and sounds its age a little bit in ways, all these songs are awesome live today. I've got no doubt about that in my mind, and they are good songs, and it is a really good, fun album. But it's got, yeah, that naivety, the energy, the urgency that you expect from a debut album of any metal band. But yeah, it's good, but the best is yet to come. That's the best thing I can sum it up, really. So 1990, Barney jumps ship onto Napalm Death, and and the almighty David Ingram joins the band, and they do the Grand Leveler. This album is my favourite album for, well, I've got different favourite albums for different reasons, but this, I really love this album. It's so fucking dark and atmospheric and sinister sounding. And Vision of the Shroud, Grave Worm, and Jumping at Shadow, like the first, straight out of the thing, first three songs classics. I can't see why you wouldn't play any of these live today. There's a better production on this album. It's better all round. They've just got better, you know, that's all there is to it. Grave Worm is a classic track. Jumping in the Shadows is great. It goes, yeah, Jumping in the Shadows, most notably halfway through the song, it kind of breaks down into this really slow section, this slow sort of dirgy section. But the solo over the top of it is beautiful. Yeah, you don't say that often with death metal, I know, but it is. It's just fantastic. Child of Sin is catchy. You've got a real cool drum pattern on that, and Ian Tracy's a good drummer, actually. He, I don't know, he'd match up today with Eugene Hoglands and George Collises and all the rest of it, but that's not the point of this band. So, Born of a Fever, it's got a nice dark melodic riff, but most notably, the Grand Leveler, the title track, at the end, or sort of midway through the song towards the end, again, another slow section. It's not all slow, by the way, it's all, you know, there's plenty of fast riffs, plenty of shredding, but there's keyboards on it. It just sounds fucking awesome, and they never did it again. So, yeah, nice and raw, nice and dark, nice and atmospheric, and yeah, Grand Leveler is my favourite for that reason. Up next you got Dark is the Season, an EP. One of my favourite cover arts ever, and if you look, you see that Dave Ingram signed that, and right, Ian Tracy, no, sorry, Paul Adams on bass has left the band at this point, so Peter and Darren handle the bass between them, so they're a four-piece. I didn't show you these, did I? Did I show? Have a quick look anyway. Look, you've got the Dark as the Season there anyway, and on the tray there you got a collage of different flyers, posters, album reviews. You got anything on there? That's pretty cool. Skull. I love that artwork, man. I want to get it on a t-shirt, but every t-shirt I see, it's like a white t-shirt. You need it on a black one, you know. Not much to show there, really. Picture of a band there. Dave has got a fabulous moustache on that. Ask him about that at some point. Up next, we've got the classic. It's playing in the background. You see the vinyl. Transcending the Rubicon. And Transcend the Rubicon, not Transcending. Classic Dan Seagrave artwork. I'm not sure really what to say about. Basically, this is the classic album. They really hit their stride. They're just firing on all cylinders at this point. Every song on this is the bollocks. From the opening track, really. So, you know, Night Fear, Paradox Valley, I Bow to None, fucking awesome. They're just, every song on this is just brilliant. It's fantastic riffs, fantastic songwriting, great choruses, great vocals from Dave. I wonder who produced this, actually. Let me just quickly look this up. I don't think they had any big names really until later on, anyway. But yeah, Paul Johnson. He did the. He was like a long-time producer for a while. He did a lot of good stuff back in the day. But yeah, Transcend the Rubicon. This is a favourite as well. I mean, objectively speaking, this is the classic album. This is the one everyone regards as the classic album. I've said it about 5 times now. I would probably say this is the best one to start with as well. I always kind of have this. I prefer this because this is leading up to that. Whenever a band's classic comes out, I always sort of go towards the album before it for some reason. Just as that, you see where it's going. I'm a bit weird like that. I prefer Terminator 1 to Terminator 2. You know. I always prefer that one step before. But next up, they put out this EP. This is basically a single, really. The Grotesque, and then the second song is Ashen Epitaph, and then you got 3 live tracks on there. The live tracks were recorded. I don't know if it was a radio session with a couple of people attending, or if it was a real small gig, but they were breaking in the new drummer or new bass player at the time they had for a tour. So you got a nice little live session, and oh, you got some liner notes there as well. I've never read them actually, but cool artwork, well worth getting. You can get Dark as the Season and this together as like a compilation there as well. So a nice little stopgap release. And then up next is the Dreams You Dread. I've got the special black edition. Gold CD, and careful Joe, don't smash that, you dickhead. And also signed by Dave Ingram. Right, I've got a funny take on this album. Not controversial, no. I hate when everyone fucking keeps saying everything they think is controversial. It's like, no, it's not. A good little analogy, there you go. That's what I'm going to say. Right, opening track, Down on Whores. I'm not quite sure how to start this. Right. If this is Benediction's Rain in Blood, then this is their South of Heaven. Right, and the reason I say, because this album is all guns blazing all the way through, which is what Rain in Blood was. So Raining Blood, you had half hour of just speed, thrash, shred, balls to the wall, unforgivable, unrelentless metal. And then all of a sudden, South of Heaven opened up, slow riff. It was a slow song, an atmospheric song, and it went completely 180 to what came before it. And that's what this does. Down on Whores opens with a melodic, clean section before going into like a mid-paced groove. Awesome chorus as well. Take the heart, take the head, leave them all for dead. And but one thing as well with South of Heaven is that you've got this big, majestic opening track that kind of overtakes. That's not right. It kind of eclipses the rest of the album, and after this, the rest of the album's pretty more straightforward, really. A bit more groove based than sort of speed, but what I'm saying is, if you listen next time you listen to South of Heaven, skip South of Heaven, go straight into the second track, and it's a different experience listening to the rest of the songs on their own. And I've been listening to the albums on my iPod, not my iPod, on my phone. I haven't got a fucking iPod. What am I talking about? So yeah, go straight into Silent Scream, and then listen to the rest of the album. But for some reason, when I carried the album onto my phone, the first track didn't register, and it went into like unknown artists, and I had to fill all the information in to save it. But when I went to listen to it, Down on Whores didn't come on, and it went straight into Certified. And I felt, without that introduction, and I hit the ground running with Certified, it feels like a different album. So that's what I'm getting at, really. Not quite as good as Transcend, the Rubicon, but still very enjoyable, still good. But like I say, they start. There's a bit more sort of mid-paced songs on this one, but still dark, still heavy. It's still Benediction, and I still really like it. So, moving on, we come to my next favourite album, released in 1999, I believe. Bear with me one second. Yeah, 1999. Not sure what's going on with that artwork, but I do kind of like it though. It kind of reminds me of the time. Kind of like a PlayStation game or something, but I absolutely adore this album, and this is my favourite Benediction album. I've said that 3 times now, haven't I? So this is what I'm saying. This is why I love this band, because all the albums are different, and I love them all for different reasons. And there's not a lot going on with really the other ones. This is just lyrics. But you got the one thing with Benediction as well, from what I understand, and I could be wrong, but it's like they weren't really that big in England or in the UK, but they would go out to Europe and America and play fucking massive places, and they had a lot of respect by it. They're kind of like a band's band as well. Like the people who really sing Benediction up are other bands. And I mean, they toured with. I'm trying to focus the thing. It looks like it's gone a bit blurry. They fucking toured with Death and everything, man. Like they were shit hot back in the day. And anyway, right into Grind Bastard. It sounds like a 90s extreme metal album. There's a lot of mid-paced tracks, a lot of fast tracks, a shit ton of groovy tracks on this. Deadfall, fucking awesome song. Agonize, fucking brilliant. West of Hell's great. Magnificat, my all-time favourite Benediction song. I love that dung 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 dung, you know, bass introduction, kind of like a punky riff. Yeah, there's a bit of a punk bit of a punk feel, bit of a punk attitude to this album. Frank Healy joined. Fuck, I forgot to tell you about that. Frank Healy joined on Transcend the Rubicon. I was meant to be going through the timeline. And Neil Hutton joined the band on drums for this album. So at this point, from Subconscious Terror, Pete and Darren are the only original members. Dave Ingram joins on the second album. Frank Healy joins on the third album. And then Neil Hutton joins on drums. Yeah, anyway, Magnificat. The music stopped playing. Do you want me to carry on? Or shall I'll just carry on talking, it's alright. In fact, do you want me? No, I'll carry on talking. Magnificat again, fucking awesome thrashy riff. Magnificat, bang, you know, fucking great. And I love that melodic section at the end of the song. Not something that the band did often, but when they did do it, it fucking just works so brilliant. Like, fucking brilliant. The only real sort of criticism I have of this album is that it is a bit long. It could be, you know, you've got 3 covers on this album. One of them's a bonus track, fair enough. But yeah, you've got Electric Eye by Judas Priest, which is smack bang in the middle of the album, which I think kind of derails it a little bit. And you got Destroyer by Twisted Sister towards the end. I don't know. I think cover songs should be at the end of an album and should be bonus tracks, if that. But that's saying there is a bonus track of this of We Are the League by the Anti-Nowhere League, and it is really fun. It's fucking great, and you got the old whoa at the end and with it all in the chorus, and that's really good. I do really like that actually. Grind Bastard, I love that song. The bass intro again, that cool like bam 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 bam, you know, and then dun, 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 and then Dave just fucking roars Grind Bastard, and then that I could just envision a mosh pit as that kicks off. I mean, if I was in the band, I would insist on fucking playing that song. Probably about 2-3 songs into the set, just dropping it in. It's fucking absolutely brilliant. Carcinoma, Angel, really cool riff on that as well. Really sort of melodic and just atmospheric, and it's kind of a bit like At the Gates in a way, really, that track. But yeah, I really like that. And the closing track, again, fantastic song. I think they even played that on this recent string of dates they did where Dave Ingram came back into the band. So after that, Dave Ingram leaves the band, goes on to do about 20 other bands. Downlord was the first one. No, he joined Bolt Thrower, didn't he? But then he did Downlord. I can't remember which way round that is. Don't suppose it matters. We'll talk about that another day. But yeah, he did an album with Bolt Thrower, did Downlord, either way. Went a bit quiet for a little while. Started the Metal Breakfast radio show. Then did Down Amongst the Dead, Echelon, another band with Johnny Peterson that I can't remember the name of. Then he joins, oh bollocks, what's that band called? The war themed band. Just Before Dawn. He started doing guest vocals on the odd album here and there. That was a band where it was like 2 or 3 main guys, where they got a bunch of different vocalists and different guitarists and different guests on different songs. And then when they became a touring band, Dave Ingram was the singer of them, and that's where I met him and got me all my shit signed. Dave's been a regular guest on the metal show with Gully and Joe as well, and I'm going to try and get him on this new channel when the new Benediction album drops. A little spoiler for you. But yeah, anyway, so Dave moved on to different pastures, and they got Dave Hunt, who you know from Anal Nathrak, but he wasn't that known at the time. I think the first Anal Nathrak album came out the same year this did, actually. Organised Chaos. Awesome album cover, man. And yeah, I don't think at the time. I think Dave was in Mistress, which is like a doomy, like a doom sort of death metal band. Then he did An Al Nafrak with Nick Kenny, who was drummer in Mistress, but all the instruments in An Al Nafrak, and he's now a pretty successful producer. But yeah, so this is kind of Dave Hunt in the early days. The hardcore influence is very prevalent on this album. Very kind of punky in a way, but very reminiscent of bands like Stamping Ground. I mean, I got into metal. Well, I got into metal for like Slipknot and Korn and all that crap, but then I discovered the hardcore scene, and through hardcore, kind of got into death metal. And watching like Stamping Ground and Knuckle Dust and Underroll and bands like that, going to these like all-day shows at the Dome and the Underworld and that, this reminds me of that time. And yeah, it was definitely more of a just sort of straightforward, just heavy, just like a playing small clubs and making noise rather than death metal on this album. I feel like it was a bit more thrashy and hardcorey, but very good album. I guess it's still death metal. What am I talking about? But you know what I mean. Suffering Feeds Me, fucking classic song. Again, the riff on that's quite punky in a way. Not like, yeah, you can tell that this is death metal that the guys playing it listened to punk when they were young. You know, you got that influence on it. What was a song that stuck out at me? Yeah, Diary of a Killer as well. That sort of, it's got like that groovy kind of, and Dave's doing that sort of spoken word. It kind of reminds me a little bit of Biohazard or something like that, or Madball or something. It's all right. It's pretty. Fuck it, you know what I mean. Is it Easy Way to Die? It's got like a really nice... Yeah, I think it's Easy Way to Die. It's got a nice, clean introduction. Very sort of atmospheric, very doomy, but very fucking sinister sounding. That's a really cool song. Again, I think maybe a little bit too long. It might need a bit trimming around the edges, but still a really enjoyable album. And then we've got Killing Music. Now, this album, they really hit their stride with Dave. Dave really settles into the band at that point. I interviewed Dave Hunt a few years ago when he was promoting an An Al Nafrak album, and I was pretty much, yeah, there's a big gap as well. Like, this was in 2001 and this comes out in 2007, and I think this was about fucking hell, it might have been even 3 years ago now. But yeah, I was talking about the new An Al Nafrak album, and you know, really nice bloke as well, Dave Hunt, and really honest. I found really like no pretensions, no bullshit. And then at the end, I was like, right, when's there a new Benediction album? You know? And he was like, yeah, fucking hell, I don't think we've done one in nearly 10 years. You're right. He went like, we're still going, everything's good, and we will eventually do something. Not sure when, but yeah, it's all good. Don't worry, something eventually will be coming out. This comes with a DVD as well. Really cool DVD as well. Studio footage, a lot of fucking about backstage on the tour bus footage, loads of like captions going along the screen, so there's like loads of in jokes, load of pretty good live footage as well. But yeah, musically speaking, I feel they hit their stride with Dave Hunt on this album. It's very different to the Dave Ingram era of the 90s, but they find their own style with this particular lineup, if you know what I mean. And you get a big package with this album as well. Obviously, you get a DVD with it. You get a whole bunch of fucking... Yeah, there's like 16 tracks in total. So you got well over an hour of music, and I suppose with a 7-year gap, and the fact that it's nearly 12 years since this new album's dropping, you can pretty much put up with that, so you're not really going to complain. Dave Hunt he comes into his own on this album. I suppose at this point he would have had a few Anal Nathrak albums under his belt, a few more Mistress albums. The Grey Man's a bit of a weird song, I've got to admit, but it's pretty cool. He kind of puts his stamp on it, I suppose, on the Benediction sound. It's on this album. It's like Dave is the singer now. They Must Die Screaming. It's fucking phenomenal. Really good fucking riffs. Really good real shredding. Real heavy. Dripping with Disgust as well. Really good atmospheric. Really sort of it's just extreme, you know. And then Wrath and Regret. There's a really tight sort of mechanical feeling at the beginning of it. Just really like dun, 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 you know, you get that feeling. And then As Her Skin Weeps as well, another really good song. It's just every song on this is just bang, bang, bang. It's just relentless, just a total balls to the wall, unforgiving album. One song as well towards the end, Bury the Hatchet, I think is really good as well. It's only like, it's not even 2 minutes long, and again it's just right in your face. And Beg You Dogs as well is pretty standard Benediction, really. And yeah, I guess we got to the end of the thing. There's another little item I've got here. I got this on hellsheadbangers.com. I don't know if it's a bootleg or if it's legal or not, you know what I mean, official. But on this you get the Dreams You Dread demo and live at Kaleidoscope in Birmingham in 1989. So that's a gig with Barney. So if you are a fan, it's not an essential purchase by any means, but a nice cool little collector's item to complete the collection. So what have we got here? Anything good? Oh, you got the cover of the demo there and just a few notes. But yeah, all in all, there you go. That's Benediction. I have heard the new album. It's very good. I've got the album ordered though. What I'll do, and when it arrives, I'll do an unboxing and I'll review the album track by track. I'll do a proper in-depth review for that one. So when it comes to Benediction, I would say that's the one. Transcend the Rubicon's the one to start with. My personal favourite are these three. Depends what you want in your death metal. If you want nice, clean, good production, everything up in your face, shredding non-stop, that's the one you want. If you like it a bit more raw, a bit more atmospheric, a bit more dark, go for Grand Leveler. Nice and groovy, chunky and bouncy and good little riffs. This is the underrated gem, I think, but this is the later day classic as well. So I would probably say start off with these two, depending on your taste. If you like it raw and not, check out fucking hell Grand Leveler and then Grind Bastard, and then fill the gaps in from there. But I fucking love this band. It's all, you know, I can't really. What's so great about Benediction? They just sound so fucking English. That's the best way I can put it. There's something about them. I just feel like I'm in a gig when I'm listening to them. The sticky carpet, the stale beer smell that you get in a pub, and I just feel with death metal, I suppose music in a lot of ways really today, you just think a lot of these bands now think of like a mango flavoured Indian pale ale, you know, a gooseberry sour craft beer, and then all of a sudden Benediction come along and they're just a pint of bitter and a packet of peanuts. They had the, you know, sometimes I remember watching this cooking show once where this guy was going all the way in the world trying all these, he was saying his top 10 fish dishes, and he was going to Italy and doing all these doing all these wonderful things, going to all these lovely places and catching these fish and cooking them on a beach. And then it came to number one, and he just went to a port in England, just had fish and chips. You know, like he just went, everything you want is here. This is the perfect recipe. And it's kind of like the beer analogy. It's just, some people just have the winning formula all along, and everyone fucks about, and it's like, no, what you want is here. And that's what this band are. There's no pretension with them. Like I say, I've known Dave now for a couple of years, and I met Darren at a gig as well, and I had a chat with him, and there's just no bullshit with them. They're just really nice guys, really down to earth, and they're guys that love metal, and they just play what they love, and they play what they're good at, and yeah, there's just no fucking about. It's just Benediction. Turn it up, play it loud, as it says on that, you know. So yeah, that's it. I don't think there's more to say really. Just go get some beers and play some Benediction and play it fucking loud. No fucking about, you know. Yeah, that's all. That's it really. I think I'll leave it at that. And check out Maidencast. The new episode is up on Friday. When the new album comes along, like I said, I'll be doing an unboxing. I'll be doing an in-depth interview. And yeah, let's carry on. Thanks again for watching. Thanks again for your comments. And yeah, if you do like what you see, please press the little like icon. That really helps me out. Share it around, subscribe, and yeah, I'll see you all soon. Take care.